Yo guys, what is going on? Blossom's back and welcome back to another episode of Top Drives. Now, we have yet another special tag, Racing Royalty. Now, before we get into the entire, ranking the pack and talking about the prizes and what this tag is about, let me know down in the comments below if you think we're getting these tags too quickly. Now, from an advanced player standpoint, I am completely okay with having special tag after special tag after special tag with no space for rest. You know what I mean? Because I'm always ready and I will always have cars upgraded for whatever tag it is, unless it's the anti-blossom tag where it's just a bunch of Volkswagens and Morgans. Then obviously, I'm not gonna have anything ready for that. Well, actually I do have some Max Morgans, but I digress. But obviously, thinking about it from an intermediate, maybe a early intermediate, like a beginner going to an intermediate, and definitely a beginner standpoint of things, I feel like although it is a lot of content, yes, we're going from Great Outdoors to Immortalizing Carbon to As You've Seen on YouTube to Racing Royalty. In fact, Racing Royalty and As You've Seen from YouTube or whatever, they are running at the same exact time. To some people, it's a lot of content, which is always a good thing. You want the game to feel fresh, to feel new. But from a beginner standpoint, if you don't have the cars, then you can't really play, in the events anyway. So is it even new content for some players if they can't even play in it? So that's another thing to think about. So let me know down in the comments below if these are, coming too quickly or you like the pacing of all the challenges coming out right now. Like I said, I'm an advanced player, so this doesn't really bother me. I'm ready for almost any challenge that Hutch can throw at me. And the most recent one is this. It's Racing Royalty, and I gotta be honest, every single special tag that follows, it just gets more and more convoluted. Like this one, according to Hutch, it says, "Will you take the crown?" This is in their news post. Collection series Racing Royalty is here. This collection is themed around cars named after famous race winners and positions of authority. Very interesting. Famous race winners. I'm trying to see any famous race winners here. Not that I can think of. Okay, to be fair, I don't know the meaning of most of these cars. I know Viper ACR. ACR just means American car racing, I think, or American competition racing, American competitive racing, something like that. I'm trying to see if that is I guess that is the position of power. Is that what they said? The collection is themed around famous race winners and positions of authority. Like I said, it just gets, we've gone a long way from Silver Screen. Silver Screen, we get it. These are cars from movies. Silver Screen 2, we get it. Call of the Wild, we get it. It's cars named after animals. This one is yeah, I don't really know. And does anyone know what SLR means? And then the other thing is 911 GT2 RS. Why just that GT2? There are a lot of GT2s, So I digress. I'm gonna review this pack anyway. Honestly, I don't really Great Outdoors. I really didn't understand the point of Great Outdoors. I didn't understand the meaning to the cars, to the tag. And it's the same thing with Immortalizing Carbon. It doesn't have any meaning anymore. That event was literally just Hutch saying, "Oh, nobody uses Morgan, so we're gonna make people use Morgan," and then we'll throw some Lamborghinis in there. That was literally it. This event, again, I just don't know what the hell. Okay, whatever. Anyway, let us review the pack. I've already opened one, and if you want to see what I got from this pack, do check out my Instagram. I will post it on Instagram after this video goes live. I had my cousin, the Goose Man, he's back. I had him open that pack for me. But anyway, let us begin. The Kaiser, Daily Driver, Frequent Provider, Pernicious, also Hot Garbage. You know how it works. And we start off with the Visconti in Hot Garbage. Again, only thing it has to its name is 4-wheel drive, and that's it. You can kind of use it in the rain if you want to, but also not really at the same time because the handling isn't very good. Not to mention, it's not even medium ground clearance. It is a low ground clearance car with no MRA and a basic top speed. The only thing strong about it is that 4-wheel drive, I guess, if you can even consider that a strong trait. For me, I don't really tend to do that. It's just garbage. Never use it. Next up is the Flying Spur. I'm going to give that Frequent Provider, and the Mulsanne Grand Limousine is going to be a Pernicious Ulcer. Now, to me, the Mulsanne Grand Limousine is kind of like a really obese Lamborghini Miura. If you cannot use a Miura, you need to use fat cars only, like 5-seaters, blah, blah, blah. Then the Mulsanne Grand Limousine will be okay because it has a ridiculously high top speed for the cheapest price you can get for an ultra rare. So there is some value there. The MRA isn't isn't horrible. It's like the only way to put it is it has good Subaru MRA, which is like mid 70s, but definitely isn't good enough to be performance worthy. But it's not like horrible, like a 50 or a 60 or like a high 60, low 70, like 75. That's the MRA, whatever. It will hit its top speed if it's given enough time, which a test bull for the most part can provide that time for lower RQ cars, especially if you cannot use the Miura. But still, it's really bad, and you need many factors for this to be useful, but it can be useful. Flying Spur, just because it's a frequent provider, just because it's the best in class, you know, like it's the best Bentley four-wheel drive, medium ground clearance, has a relatively low 0 to 60, handles okay, but it isn't like the best car ever, so I'm just giving it an average rating. The M5, I love this car, I really do, but it actually is just terrible. I mean, I'm gonna show you the times right now. I mean, it doesn't win anything at all. Like back in the day, it had 88 MRA. It was pretty good in the drags. Now it has no MRA. It's a crappy car for the twisty stuff. It doesn't win anything. You know, it's losing to cars like the Ford Falcon, which is winning almost everything. I mean, the Falcon's actually beating the RQ60 Quadruporte. All these cars are like medium ground clearance, and obviously when it comes to the drags and you want to use the Carlton, the best quarter mile car is still the Quadruporte. Like the BMW just doesn't really win anything, and it's actually really sad, and it seems to be relatively competitive with cars lower in RQ like the Jaguar XFS, the Charger, as well as low as the 435 Grand Coupe. It ties on the G-Force, and yeah, I guess it's better everywhere else. It loses on the slalom, but yeah, it's a bit sad, really. Like the M5 just isn't as good. I love the car, trust me, I really do. I love the E39 M5, one of the coolest M5s ever made, but it definitely doesn't deserve to be good. It doesn't even deserve to be average, honestly. It's a jack of all trades, master of none, but I don't even know if I could really call it a jack of all trades. Next up is the Chrysler Imperial Concept. You know how I feel about rear-wheel drive standard. They suck. Commodores, ooh, this is a pretty interesting one. At least these two handle a little bit better. They have higher top speed compared to the M5, but at the end of the day, I don't think that they are that wow-ish. The Commodore, I would say, is a frequent provider. It handles very well. It has four-wheel drive, so it has that niche, but I still think it's a bit too high in RQ. I think it'll be a little bit better as an RQ 61, maybe even as low as a 60. It'll be a great 60. 62 is a little bit too high, but then again, you can't really go wrong with a four-wheel drive car with over 80 handling. And you know, for that, I'll give it frequent provider. The Commodore is a pretty interesting one because the 0 to 60 is garbage, but the handling is good. It's medium ground clearance, and it has a higher top speed. If anything, might be borderline frequent provider or a high pernicious ulcer. I don't find myself using the Commodore too often, so I'm actually going to put it in pernicious ulcer. If you disagree, you can let me know down in the comments below, but it has a beautiful photo at least. Civic Type R, I mean, this is the car of the year so far, I think. It is completely the MVP for as seen on YouTube, and I cannot doubt that it will be the MVP, or at least one of the best cars for this challenge as well, Racing Royalty. So the Civic Type R is really cool. It's super versatile. It was already really good like before any of these challenges, and it's kind of just proving its worth in these challenges. It's definitely Dirk Kaiser. Magon is a daily driver. It is ridiculously strong. Actually, I'll even give it a low. I mean, when you think about front-wheel drive meta, you still think of the Magon and the Civic when it comes to performance tire cars, where you cannot use cars like the Ignis. Like I would say that the Renault Sport, the Civic Type R, the Mini, John Cooper, whatever it is, those are all really great cars. Again, the Magon 88 handling, medium ground clearance, 98 when you max it out. You cannot go wrong with that. BTR, I think it's a frequent provider. Back in the day, blossom choice all the way, but the problem with the BTR is that it doesn't win anything anymore, right? It used to be pretty close with the Tamora, but now you have cars like the Fiji Water car and the RQ64 M5 and obviously the Spiker, and there's just too much competition where the Roof BTR just slowly falls further and further down the mediocrity line of things. So yeah, frequent provider, nothing more, nothing less. I still think that you can get decent value out of it, but definitely not what it used to be back in the day, when it used to literally be blossom choice, when it used to be the best ultra air for the test bowl, the best ultra air for the 1 mile, and a very strong ultra air for the quarter mile and the half mile. It used to be that car, but now it's just meh. Next up are going to be the Epics. Now, there is nothing good to say about the Bentleys. I mean, these cars are just truly terrible. The Flying Spur W12 is a little bit better because when it comes to that meta of four-wheel drive, performance tire, medium ground clearance saloons, when it comes to the drag, then the Flying Spur W12 is one of the better cars just because it has a low 0 to 60 and that's it. The MRA of the Flying Spur is garbage, but like I said, in that niche of four-wheel drive, saloon, performance, medium ground clearance, blah blah blah, every single car in that niche has terrible MRA. I mean, think about it. Like in that niche, you're thinking of this, you're thinking of Audis, you're thinking of Subarus. These are cars with no MRA. So really in that like competition, it's really just down to who has the best 0 to 60, which is what the W12 has. Now, you break it out of that, you know, of all those niches. You take away the four-wheel drive, and you still keep it in saloons, but maybe you take away the medium ground clearance as well, keeping it low ground clearance saloons. Obviously going to be using cars like the Charger Juice or even the Charger Hellcat or the Charger Hellcat wide body. So, you know, it has to be very niche situations where the W12 is not considered hot garbage, but I will give it that. The Flying Spur W12S is one of the best. Much like the Flying Spur, these two are kind of the best in class. It's got a lower 0 to 60, a higher top speed, and the MRA is just about the same. So those two, I would say, just because they are the best in class for their rarity, they are not going to be bad, but they're definitely not going to be amazing either. Moving on is the Chevrolet Corvette Z51. Again, another car that used to be really good, which has just fallen down the pecking order of things. Now it's a very mid-tier epic. And I don't think that the Z51 will ever be a bad car unless it was inflated in RQ. And if that was like 75, 76, it would be terrible. But as a 73, it's kind of what you expect. It's not good. It's not bad. It will get the job done within its RQ. I got nothing bad to say about it, but nothing outstanding to say about it either. Frequent provider. Next up is the Holden Commodore Callias or whatever that is. I'm going to give it like frequent provider, honestly, and the only reason I'm doing that is because it's the only freaking all-surface tire learn the Savannah Way car that's epic, or at least it's the best all-surface tire car learn the Savannah Way car. Like that's it, you know. It's got a niche, and it will be the best in class if that niche ever comes out. If there's ever a learn the Savannah Way off-road event, then yeah, it'll be great. But that's it. I mean, to be fair, it is a pretty competent all-surface tire car anyway. 85 handling for RQ68 is actually pretty good. So I'll give it that as well. Frequent provider. HSV Senator, though, is a hot garbage car. MRA is good, but it really doesn't matter, man. It's a car that you'll never want to upgrade. The SLR McLaren is our first daily driver, and the GTR is the Der Kaiser Epic as well. The SLR McLaren is very 70-60. MRA is strong, top speed is high, 0 to 60 is low. Handling could be a little bit better though. 87 isn't as good as I would expect from a 76 anymore, considering that the Ultima GTR can get 89 for only 1 RQ more with a lower 0 to 60 and is way lighter as well. I mean, I get it, the Ultima GTR doesn't have the same MRA and top speed as the SLR provides, but honestly the GTR is a car that I would definitely use a lot more. They're both good though, and I will both get value out of them. I'm happy to have both of them in my garage, and maybe I will be maxing out my GTR for this challenge. We will see. Moving on to the legendaries, the Quadrifoglio is a car that needs no introduction. It is one of the best non-prize all-surface tire cars in the game. Definitely, if you ever unpack that, massive congratulations to you. The Flying Spur is daily driver. A lot of people might disagree with me on this, but it is one of the best medium ground clearance saloons with 5+ seaters as well. It's actually up there, honestly. It has its niches. Many times, the Flying Spur has been the best car within a niche. Now, I know it's going to be a worse version of the Evo 8, but then again, the Evo 8 is much higher in RQ as well. The Flying Spur, in my opinion, can get value because for some reason, it's always called upon in some kind of event. Moving on is Hollywood, and Hollywood is obviously Der Kaiser, one of the best American legendaries that you could have pulled back in 2019, 2018, around that time, American Dream, 2018, I think, and it's still one of the best American legendaries that you can pull now. I mean, the only cars better than this would be the Hennessy's 4GT, maybe like that's it. I won't really count the NSX in this comparison because the NSX is now Japanese. Now moving on is the 4GT, and this one is frequent provider, I guess. MRA is competent. It's 88, and yeah, obviously Hollywood has 95 MRA, just letting you know. But the Ford GT 88 MRA, handling is mediocre, 0 to 60 is mediocre, top speed is high. Again, it's just one of those cars where you'll get a lot of value if you can max it out, but who the hell wants to max out an RQ80? Because you never know when the car is going to drop to becoming an epic. I gotta say though, when that Ford GT, if it ever becomes an epic, it will be fantastic. And please change the photo, please. I want a red Ford GT with white stripes. It's just gotta happen, man. It's gotta happen. Moving on, NSX. Yeah, NSX is strong, man. It's a strong car, handles very well with 4-wheel drive, 100 handling 4-wheel drive car. You cannot go wrong with that. MRA, nothing much to say about that, nothing too outstanding. 0 to 60, nothing too outstanding, but it is a very competent car, definitely worthy of a legendary status. Moving on is the McLaren F1, and again, it's a very strong car, you know, very high top speed, very good MRA to back it up, handles pretty well, and it is very light, so it's a very strong car. GT2 RS, same thing. 956, same thing. And the Panamera Turbo, I'm gonna give it daily driver. The Panamera Turbo, medium ground clearance, that's good. 4-wheel drive, I mean, it's kind of like, you know, RQ bias, and obviously it's not as good as cars like the Taycans. The Taycans are just better 4-wheel drive, medium ground clearance cars. Now, that being said though, it is still strong, definitely pretty good, and I would give it daily driver. But again, you know, the Porsche 911 GT2, the 956, very strong cars, very competent cars. The 911 GT2 is basically just the ACR on steroids, handles just about as well. 0 to 60 is way lower. MRA isn't as good though, but obviously the GT2 is going to be the better car in every regard. But anyway guys, that's going to be it for today. Let me know down in the comments below if you are excited for racing royalties or not. One more time, I don't even know what the freaking prize cars are. I think you win like the Akula, right? Yeah, so the best car that you can get is the Ginetta Akula, which is a really ugly prize car, but you can also get the Ford Bronco R, which is relatively cool, and the Cobra 378. Now that's an interesting one because that's an RQ64 Ultra, if my memory serves me correctly, and that will be a pretty interesting car to win. But anyway guys, that's gonna be it for today. The prizes kind of suck, to be honest, but the pack, it's all right. It's not the worst that we've seen. Definitely is kind of that average rarity pack. Like, it's not good, it's not bad, it's all right. But anyway guys, I hope you guys have a great day, guys. Stay safe, wash your hands, and blossom out. Peace.
Bro, this song just makes me so happy.
Me too.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Imagine being Asian in the 50s, looking nifty, leather jacket, looking sleek, look like Presley, look so deadly. Got a jukebox back at home, feeling jazzy, turn it on and play it slow, like the movies with the ladies.
They so fine.
Sit back, relax in my Bonneville Pontiac. Hold tight all night, cruise to Jackson.